My mother-in-law stole my baby shower, but the real shock came when I found the secret text that made my husband choose her side. In that moment, I knew my blissful pregnancy had become a battleground. The first kick felt like a secret, a tiny flutter of a butterfly wing just for me. At 18, pregnant and married to the love of my life, Mark, the world felt like it was painted in soft pastels. Mark was my rock, my partner in late-night ice cream runs, and my co-conspirator in building the most ridiculously complicated crib we could find. We were a team, a little family of two, about to become three. We were planning our future, our lives, and our baby shower. We pictured a relaxed co-ed BBQ in our small backyard with burgers, string lights, and our actual friends, people our own age, who wouldn't give me unsolicited advice about nipple cream. And then there was Brenda, my mother-in-law. Brenda didn't deal in soft pastels. Her world was decorated in bold, non-negotiable primary colors. From the moment the pregnancy test was positive, she had opinions. The nursery should be beige, not the gentle sage green I'd picked out. I was eating too much sugar. I wasn't eating enough iron. She'd already bought a onesie that said, "If Mom says no, Grandma says yes," and had presented it to me with a wink, as if we were in on the same joke. We weren't. She insisted I call her Mom, a request that made my skin crawl every single time. I tried to handle her with grace, for Mark's sake. He'd always say, "That's just how she is. She's just excited." So I smiled and nodded and quietly painted the nursery sage green while she was out of town. The baby shower was my line in the sand. It was the one event that was supposed to be about me celebrating with my people. Mark and I had even picked a date. We were going to send out Evites next week. I found out on a Tuesday, scrolling through Facebook while waiting for a pot of water to boil. And there it was, an event invitation posted publicly on Brenda's timeline. "Come celebrate Brenda's little prince." The cover photo was an ultrasound picture I had only sent to her and my own mother. My blood ran cold. My name wasn't mentioned anywhere in the title, not once. I clicked on the event details, my hand trembling. The date was 2 weeks from Saturday at her house. The guest list was a sea of names I didn't recognize. Her book club friends, her neighbors, her cousins from 3 states away. Buried deep in the list were a few of my own relatives, clearly added as an afterthought. But the final blow, the thing that made the air leave my lungs in a painful gasp, was the link at the bottom. Brenda has created a registry at Bye Bye Baby to help the new parents get started. I clicked it. It was full of things we had explicitly said we didn't want. A gaudy, oversized plastic playpen, monogrammed silver rattles, and clothes that were all in Brenda's traditional stuffy style. I felt like a prop, an incubator for her grandchild. Tears streamed down my face, hot and angry. When Mark got home from work, I was still sitting at the kitchen table, my phone lying face up in front of me. I didn't even have to say anything. He saw my tear-streaked face, followed my gaze to the phone, and picked it up. I watched his face shift from confusion to disbelief, then to a weary annoyance. "Babe, you know how she is," he started, running a hand through his hair. "She's just—" "Don't you dare say she's just excited, Mark," I snapped, my voice shaking. "She created a public event for my baby shower with her name on it, invited all her friends, and made a registry for things I hate. She didn't ask me. She didn't even tell me. She erased me from my own pregnancy." Seeing my genuine distress, his expression softened. The annoyance faded, replaced by the protective husband I knew and loved. "Okay," he said softly, pulling me into a hug. "Okay, you're right. This is way over the line. I'll call her right now and shut it down. We'll do our own party just like we planned." Relief washed over me so intensely I almost collapsed into him. He was choosing me. He was on my side. He pulled out his phone, his thumb hovering over her contact name. Just as he was about to press it, his screen lit up with a text message. It was from Brenda. He paused, his brow furrowing as he read it. I watched his entire demeanor change in the span of 5 seconds. His jaw tightened. The sympathy in his eyes vanished, replaced by a cold, hard resolve I had never seen before. He slowly lowered the phone, not looking at me, but at the wall just over my shoulder. His voice was flat, devoid of all emotion. "Change your plans," he said. "We're going to the party, and you're not going to say a word about it." The words hung in the air between us, heavy and suffocating. "What are you talking about?" I whispered, pulling away from him. "What did she say? Mark, show me the text." He slid the phone into his pocket, his face a granite mask. "It doesn't matter what she said. It's handled." Handled? It felt more like I was the one being handled. "It matters to me." My voice rose, cracking with disbelief. "You were just on my side. You were going to call her to shut it down. One text, Mark, and you flip completely? Who are you married to?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. He just walked over to the fridge and pulled out a bottle of water, his movements stiff and deliberate. "We are not going to ruin this for my mom," he said, his back to me. "She's not feeling well. The stress isn't good for her. Just let her have this one thing." The stress? The woman who had bulldozed her way into our lives and hijacked a moment that was meant to be ours was suddenly a delicate flower who couldn't handle stress? I felt a hysterical laugh bubble up in my chest. "So I'm the one who has to suck it up? My feelings don't matter because Brenda might get stressed out from the consequences of her own actions." He finally turned to face me, and the look in his eyes silenced me. It was cold, pleading and final all at once. "Please," he said, his voice low, "just this once, for me. Don't make this a thing," and just like that I knew I had lost. He had chosen. He had read one text and picked a side, and it wasn't mine. The next 2 weeks were a special kind of hell. We lived like roommates in our own home, the air thick with unspoken resentment. Every time I tried to bring it up, to reason with him, he would shut down, leave the room, or just repeat the same line. "Let it go. We're doing this for my mom." The day of the shower arrived, gray and miserable, a perfect reflection of my mood. I stood in front of my closet, staring at the cheerful maternity dress I'd bought for the party. We were supposed to have. Putting it on felt like putting on a costume for a play I never auditioned for. Mark drove us to his mother's house in silence. When we pulled up, the street was already lined with cars. Through the window I could see pink and blue balloons tied to the mailbox. Not sage green. Of course not. Brenda greeted us at the door, pulling me into a suffocating, perfume-scented hug. "There's my little incubator," she chirped, patting my stomach a little too hard. She beamed at Mark, giving his arm a squeeze. "Thank you for being so understanding, sweetie," she said, and the look that passed between them made my stomach turn. I spent the next hour with a fake smile plastered on my face, accepting congratulations from strangers and opening gifts from a registry I didn't create. I felt like a zoo animal on display. Eventually, the noise and the false pleasantries became too much. Excusing myself, I headed down the hallway, intending to find the bathroom for a moment of peace. The door to Brenda's home office was slightly ajar, and I heard her voice from inside, light and conspiratorial. She was on the phone. I paused, not wanting to interrupt. "Oh, it was nothing," she cackled, her voice dripping with smug satisfaction. All I had to do was send him one little text about my heart palpitations acting up from all the stress. I froze, my hand hovering over the doorknob. My blood turned to ice in my veins as I listened to her next words. "He folded like a cheap suit. Honestly, that boy would believe me if I told him the sky was purple. He'll always choose his mommy rage, pure and undiluted, surged through me. It was so potent I felt dizzy, and I had to lean against the wall to steady myself. For a moment all I could hear was the blood pounding in my ears, and Brenda's triumphant laughter echoing in my mind. "He'll always choose his mommy." In that hallway, surrounded by the cloying scent of baby powder-themed air freshener, something inside me broke. Or maybe it clicked into place. The hurt, the confusion, it all burned away, leaving behind a cold, hard clarity. This wasn't just about a baby shower anymore. This was a war, and I had just been handed the enemy's battle plans. I took a deep breath, smoothed down my dress, and painted the smile back on my face. I couldn't confront her here. She would twist it, play the victim, and I'd look like the crazy, hormonal, pregnant girl. And I couldn't confront Mark yet, not without undeniable proof. My word against his mother's? I knew how that would end. I needed that text. Walking back into the living room was like stepping onto a stage. Every smile felt like a lie. Every thank you for another gaudy, monogrammed onesie felt like acid in my throat. I watched Mark interacting with his mom, saw him place a gentle hand on her arm, and ask if she needed to sit down. She would give him a weak, grateful smile, a perfect performance of a fragile matriarch. It was sickening. They were a team, and I was the outsider, the incubator. My opportunity came during the cake cutting. Everyone was gathered around the dining table, phones out, recording Brenda as she made a big, tearful speech about her precious grandbaby. Mark was right beside her, beaming, his phone sitting on the end table by his armchair. I feigned a sudden dizzy spell, pressing a hand to my forehead. "I just need some air," I mumbled to a nearby cousin of Brenda's, who clucked sympathetically. I slipped out of the room, my heart hammering against my ribs. I didn't go outside. I went straight for the end table. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone as I snatched it up. I ducked into the same hallway as before, my back pressed against the wall. His passcode was our anniversary. The irony was so bitter it almost made me gag. I opened his messages, my thumb scrolling frantically up to 2 weeks ago, the day my world tilted on its axis. And there it was, her text. It was even more manipulative than I could have imagined. "Mark, honey, please don't fight with her. This stress is making my old heart flutter again, and Dr. Matthews was so worried. I can't handle the conflict. I just wanted to do one nice thing for my grandbaby. Please tell me you'll come." For me, I took a screenshot and sent it to my own phone, then deleted the evidence of my snooping. I slid his phone back onto the end table just as the crowd began to disperse, my movements a blur of adrenaline. The rest of the party passed in a fog. On the drive home, the silence in the car was a living thing. Mark finally broke it, his voice laced with forced cheerfulness. "See? That wasn't so bad, was it? Mom was so happy. It meant the world to her I let him talk, letting the silence stretch after he finished until it became uncomfortable." I didn't look at him. I just stared straight ahead at the road. "You know," I said, my voice eerily calm, "when I was in the hallway, I heard your mom on the phone. She said something funny. She said you'd believe her if she told you the sky was purple." He shifted in his seat. "What are you talking about?" I slowly turned to face him, the streetlights illuminating the cold fury in my eyes. I held up my phone, the screen glowing with the screenshot of his mother's text. "She doesn't have heart palpitations, Mark," I said, my voice as sharp and brittle as ice. "She has you." His face went white in the intermittent glow of the streetlights. He pulled the car over to the curb with a jerky motion, throwing it into park. For a long moment he just stared at the screenshot, his hands gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles were bone white. He didn't deny it. He couldn't. The proof was right there, glowing in the darkness of the car. He finally looked at me, and for the first time in 2 weeks, I saw my husband again. The anger, the coldness, it all shattered, replaced by a look of such profound shame and horror that it almost took my breath away. "Oh, my God," he whispered, the words barely audible. "Babe, I am so sorry." It wasn't the hollow apology I'd expected. Tears welled in his eyes as the full weight of his mother's deception and his own complicity crashed down on him. "I didn't listen to you. I let her make me believe you were the problem. I chose her feelings, her fake feelings, over yours, over us." He buried his face in his hands, his shoulders shaking. I didn't rush to comfort him. I let him sit with it. I needed him to truly feel it, to understand the depth of the betrayal. When he finally looked up again, his eyes were red but clear. "This stops now," he said, his voice raw but firm. "Whatever you want to do, I'm with you. We're with you. 100%. And I knew he meant it. That night, we didn't just talk. We planned. We weren't just a couple anymore. We were a tactical unit. The next morning, we loaded our car with every single gift from Brenda's party. The monogrammed silver, the stuffy outfits, the giant plastic playpen that barely fit in the trunk. We drove to her house, unannounced. When she opened the door, her face lit up with a triumphant smile, clearly expecting a thank-you visit. The smile faltered when she saw our expressions, and then vanished completely when she saw us start to unload gift bag after gift bag onto her pristine porch. "What is the meaning of this?" she stammered, her hands fluttering to her chest in a practiced gesture of distress. I stepped forward, Mark right beside me, a solid, unmovable presence. "We're returning these, Brenda," I said, my voice steady. "This wasn't a baby shower. It was a power play. We know about the text. We know about the fake heart palpitations." Her face went through a rapid series of emotions: shock, denial, and then pure, undiluted fury. She turned to Mark, her voice taking on a familiar, wheedling tone. "Mark, honey, she's putting words in your mouth. You know how stressed I've been." "No, Mom." Mark cut her off, his voice quiet but absolute. "I don't know that. What I know is that you lied. You manipulated me, and you hurt my wife, the mother of your grandchild. This isn't her being hormonal. This is you being controlling. And it's over." He stood his ground as she began to cry, real tears of frustration this time. "From now on, you will respect her. You will respect our decisions, and you will not interfere. If you can't do that, you won't be a part of this baby's life. The choice is yours." We left her there on the porch, surrounded by the mountain of gifts that represented her failed coup. The drive home was quiet, but it was a comfortable, peaceful silence. 2 weeks later, we had our real baby shower. It was in our backyard, with burgers on the grill, and our friends laughing under the string lights. It was perfect. When our son was born, we sent Brenda a picture, but we didn't call. The ball was in her court. She's slowly, carefully trying to rebuild the bridge she burned, but the dynamic has permanently shifted. Mark and I are a team. Our nursery is a beautiful sage green, and as I rock our son to sleep, I know he'll grow up in a home where his mother isn't just an incubator, but an equal partner in a family built on trust, not manipulation.